Welcome back, guys. So in this video we'll be talking about our first 6 months as new nurses. So we both graduated in December 2020 and we have been nurses right now for 6 months. We want to share our experiences so far, if we're liking it, if we're not liking it at all.
The biggest thing that will stick out when you first get to your nursing job is just kind of expectations versus reality. Completely different. Like, no matter what you did in nursing school, I feel like you're never really prepared enough for when you get out on your own. It's very nerve-wracking, and even though you've learned all of this stuff in school, you still feel like you don't have enough information, like you don't have enough knowledge on what you're doing, which isn't true. I mean, you will get through it. It does get easier. I was so scared to be on my own. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm not going to do anything right, but the transition has gotten easier. Like Kelly said, we're already at our 6 months.
First of all, I felt like if I start working, I will make friends. But no, well, I do have a couple of people in my age group, but still it's not just like, you know, a spur of a moment that you can just like have friends like that.
I personally haven't really made any friends with any of my colleagues yet, just for the simple fact that all the other nurses are quite a bit older than me. Another thing that's really different is the hours. Kelly and I both work night shifts, so it's 7 to 7, but you technically don't get out until 7:30 because they don't count your lunch, which is 30 minutes. So usually by the time I get out in the morning, it's like 8 o'clock, because I'm also having to give report, and sometimes the nurses aren't quite ready to get report when I am. And you're technically only supposed to work 3 days a week because that's your full time, but at my hospital they've been mandating a lot of overtime, so I've been working like four shifts in a week, which is a lot. It's just really exhausting. Have you been working 4s?
So my hospital, we don't really have mandated shifts, so it's up to you if you want to pick up like an extra day to get your full 40 hours or to get more money. But not a lot of people pick it up because our patient load is quite, for my floor, I think it's a lot right now because we have so many staff members quitting and we are just short. Most of the nights I have 6 patients and we are running with like 1 CNA for 16 patients, so I tend to do a lot of my patient activities by myself. It's just a lot, so you hardly see people pick up the 4th night because they're just trying to avoid the 6 patients. Sometimes we do 7. We do have some high acuity patients sometimes.
I was hired for med neuro, which is stroke patients. Our unit is so small that we generally get floated to other floors, so I work on med surg a lot as well. Our patient load is 5 patients to 1 nurse generally. Sometimes you get 6. We have a CNA too. We usually only have 1, but unlike Kelly, our CNA, they do all the vital signs and all that kind of stuff, so the nurse doesn't actually have to do that. But like, I will do my own blood sugars and things like that.
And also like your floor, you have like 10 to 11 patients.
Yeah.
So it's doable for the CNA. Unlike me, we have like 16 patients, and then so the CNA gets exhausted, so we literally have to step in to do a lot of things. I tend to get out of work sometimes at 9. I remember one morning Kelly texted me like, are you out yet? And I was like, no, I'm still heading home. She's like, it's literally 9 a.m.
Yeah, as soon as I'm done with my stuff, I get out of there really quick. There are times where I get stuck up until like 8:30. But generally once it hits 7:30, I'm like out the door ready to go.
I'm that one person that I am always out the door ready to go. So if you see me still in there at 9, something is wrong somewhere. Yes. I think I was like ranting to you the whole night.
Yeah. The thing about med surg and like med neuro, obviously a lot of our patients are older. They have dementia a lot of the times, and with me working night shift, that's when they're like up and ready to go, and they're trying to jump out of their bed and they're trying to do this and that, and Sometimes we don't have someone to sit in the room with them, so we'll have to have just like a telesitter, but that doesn't obviously keep the patient in bed. So even though like I only have 5 patients versus her 6 to 7, it's very difficult when you have like 2 to 3 patients that have dementia and they're trying to jump out of bed, and you're constantly up and checking on them to try and get them back in bed. That actually happened to me like 2 nights ago. I had 2 patients that were just constantly trying to get out of bed, and it's like nothing I did would just let them go to sleep. And so it gets hard, you know, even though it's just 5 patients. It's not really just 5 patients. It's hard.
Oh, yeah, I've had those nights too, because like I said, oncology, the oncology unit, it's also acting as a med surg unit, so most of them are like the older patients, and so most of them also have like a borderline dementia or things like that. This is a really rough time. I know so many hospitals are like down with staffing, but it's a really trial time to be a nurse.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought that we were gonna graduate and then boom, coronavirus hits, and then we're having to not only adjust to just nursing in general, but we're also having to adjust to this pandemic happening too. And it's just, yeah, it's a very trying time. There are some times where I'm kind of like, am I really doing what I want to do? Right now is just the time where you have to push through. And so that also brings me to a point. We have residency for all the new nurses, and you do it for, I think it's 6 months maybe. You meet up once a month and you just talk about a whole bunch of different things. And so for me, I'm lucky because I work in a small enough hospital that's local, so I actually have a lot of my old classmates in my residency. But one of the things they talk about is going through this like crisis at 4 to 6 months. It can manifest in all different ways, like if you are crying every day because you're just really stressed out, if you are calling off of work, if you're dreading going into work. So it can manifest in all different ways, and I think I'm speaking for Kelly and I both. We're both going through that right now, and for me personally, I have been dreading going to work, and I have called off a couple times.
I love going to work for sure, but I haven't called off my day 1s or 3s after having that rest and bringing yourself together, just thinking about going back into the stress. I do dread it. We also have the residency program at my hospital, but we do it for 12 months. And it's not like a mandated 12 months. You do pick the times you can attend, because obviously some of us work night shift, and it's always like from 9 a.m. to something. And some people cannot make it. I've honestly attended it just once. So I have 11 more months to go.
Kelly is going to be into her 2nd year working, and she's still going to be finishing this residency.
So orientation, mine was 6 weeks, and I was with my charge nurse. I think by about 3rd week, maybe the 4th, I was taking the full team by myself, the 5 patients. You start off with like 2, and then they gradually increase. I still had the charge nurse there, like if I ever had any questions. And I feel like for me, the orientation wasn't long enough. I felt like I would have benefited from a little bit longer orientation. Not so much on whether I can take 5 patients or not, but just there's still so much to learn. And you could ask to lengthen it, but I didn't. Even though I was off orientation, if I ever have any questions, all the nurses have been really, really willing to help. My orientation, they generally do orientation on my unit for 8 to 12 weeks. Depending on when you feel ready, they could release you at the 10th week, which is when they released me. I did my capstone there, like I said, and so I was pretty much versed with all my preceptors and my managers. So with us, you start orientation during the day shift, even if you're going to be night. I had about 6 weeks on days, and then the rest on nights. It was helpful. The day shift is quite helpful because you get to know the managers, you get to know the supervisors, you get to know the doctors that have your patients, because during the night shift we literally have just 1 physician for the whole hospital and 1 NP, and that also helps you to know, oh, if you want to pick a day shift as an extra shift, how it's going to look like.
I did not get any orientation on day shift. It would have done me good to get the day shift orientation, just because, like Kelly said, you get to know the doctors, you really get to know all the higher ups that you're working with, versus night shift, we don't see anybody.
That too, like both the day shift staff and night shift has been really helpful as a new grad. Like Haley said, you get to still have a lot of questions, and it's always good to ask them for you to think you know it and go like do something you're not supposed to do. Like with NG2, you know, I studied it in school and I did it on a dummy, but I didn't do it on a real person, so I needed direction.
Yeah, even though we learn all of these skills in nursing school, like putting in a Foley catheter or an NG tube or even starting an IV, it's different learning it by the book and doing it on mannequins and stuff like that versus real people. And through clinicals, I mean, you may or may not have the chance to do it, which is great if you do, but by the time you get back to, once you get into actual nursing, you're gonna forget how to do it. So always having a nurse do it the first time with you is best, and that's what I've been doing. Yeah, it sucks that you have to ask for help, but you would rather learn it the right way than just, you know, trying to do it your own way. So always ask for help.
Do you get along with your teammates?
Yeah, I get along really well with everybody. I mean, like I said, the nurses are all really nice and they've all been really willing to help me. I've only had one bad experience, but it wasn't even on my floor. I got floated. So the nurses over there, it's just a whole different ball game. I don't work with them normally, so she wasn't very nice to me. One of the things that was kind of hard for me when I first started nursing is actually telling the CNA what to do. Because like I didn't want to be bossy, and you know, I don't want to be like the mean nurse or anything like that, and a lot of the times they will go do it without saying anything.
And I hope if I'm working with any CNA and you think I'm bossy, please let me know. I know I'm not, but just let me know.
I know, I would hope that they would say something to me too.
Yeah.
But
I think I get along really well. I'm quiet. When I don't know someone really well, I tend to be quiet, but if I know you really well, I tend to be loud. I do get along with them. I don't talk a lot, but if there's like a discussion that needs me to be in it and they clearly like initiate a discussion with me, I do get into it. I'm warming up right now to a lot more people on my unit than I was before. My teammates are very helpful, both CNAs, both nurses, and especially my charge nurses. So having your charge nurse be the team lead and always there to like provide support for you when you need it, it's really nice. Not just like support to help you with the patient, but to also ask like, are you doing okay? I've had one case of bad teamwork, but it was not on my unit. Asked this nurse for help, send the CNA to ask this help to help me do cosign of a drip, and the nurse flat out said no, she was not coming. And it's not like she was doing something, she was literally just sitting, and she said no, and it just took me aback because I don't think that was right. I don't think I would do that to someone else. How do you deal with work, and how do you deal with the fatigue that comes from work?
I was never a night person. I just knew that night shift was going to be better for me to start on. For I think the first month it was good. I would come home, shower, go to bed. I was usually sleeping by like 8:30 a.m. and then I would wake up by like 1 p.m. something like that, and then take a cat nap right before I go into work, and I would be fine. As the months have progressed, I've been getting progressively more and more fatigued, more tired. Now it's to the point where I get home and I'm usually sleeping by like 8:30, and then I don't wake up until like 5:30. That way I can either cook dinner or eat, and then get ready for work and just go in. On the days off it's harder because it's like, for me, I don't know whether it's like I should keep my night shift schedule or if I should switch back to like a normal schedule and, you know, do like normal things. The constant switching back and forth is really hard on your body, and I am experiencing that. That's like my biggest thing right now, is just being really tired all the time. Are you tired all the time?
Yes, I am.
It's like a fatigue that I've never really felt before. It's different.
I'm not like sleepy all the time, I'm just lazy.
Yeah.
To do anything, like I have no energy.
Yes. Like on my days off, usually I just do nothing. Literally. I don't recommend being lazy on your days off, because you will kind of fall into like a hole. like a rut, and I feel like that's me. So I need to do something to get myself out. I need to start going to the gym or something.
Like, I used to work nights and then I transitioned to days, and getting back to nights was a problem. So I turned to stick to coffee a little bit at the beginning, but now I'm fine. I don't need anything. I think I just need snacks. That's what it is. And that's not good either. I tend not to eat breakfast at home, and I'm totally fine when I get back, and I just take my shower and straight to bed. When I'm coming home, all I'm thinking about is going into the shower and going to bed for my next shift the next day. You know, my days off, I try to like stay up. I tend to stay up to like midnight sometimes and try to sleep to like 7 or 8 in the morning. What do you think is like your greatest support system?
I think my biggest support system is my boyfriend, in a way. He doesn't understand why I'm so tired, and he never will unless he actually works. But there are times where he's very understanding and he'll just let me sleep and he won't wake me up. My mom has been really good too. She notices, because we don't live together, so when we do see each other, she always tells me like, Kaylee, you look so tired, like you need to take some vitamins or something, like you're always so tired. Sister, she's been staying at my house too, so she's only 17, so she doesn't really get it. And when I'm trying to sleep, she's always up being loud and like doing whatever. So
I think right now my fiance, my biggest support system, we live together obviously, and he gets me to a certain degree, not completely. So the degree of not completely he doesn't get me, I take it over to my family, because a couple of them are also in the health field, Ashima and my aunt, and so I get to rant to them a lot, like when something is wrong, especially to my younger sister Ashi. I am a ranter, if that's a word.
That's a good thing to mention. Kelly has people in her family that work in healthcare. I don't. I'm the first person in my family to graduate from college and to have a career, and nobody else in my family works in healthcare, whether it's like,
I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thanks. They don't get it when I try to explain to them. So actually, some of my biggest support system is, well, her for one, because we're always messaging each other and always like debriefing to each other, and like because it's so much easier to talk to somebody who's actually doing the same thing that you're doing, because you just totally understand each other versus somebody who's not. So I've actually been talking to Kelly a lot, and then some of my other friends that I graduated with. One of my friends, Meredith, that we graduated with, her and I were always on Instagram sending each other like the nursing memes and stuff.
Those things you always send me?
Yes. Because it's funny, and I feel like it's a good way to, they're not the nicest memes, but it's like nurses have to have like some sort of like dark humor in order to like get through what we do, because it's so hard on us. And so like looking at those memes, it just like helps. Sometimes
I want to share it and I'm like, no, some people like, they will not get it.
No.
They'll think we're just trying to be mean.
Do you feel like you get paid enough?
No, I don't. I don't feel like I get paid enough. My family doesn't feel like I get paid enough. When I told them how much I make, they're like, oh my god, you need to come back to Chicago. Yeah.
However, if you were to go to Chicago, you probably get paid more, but you're going to pay a lot more in living expenses too. So it kind of makes up for it, because I mean, Indiana is a fairly cheap state to live in. Yeah, I personally don't feel like I get paid enough. Before I graduated, I was so excited to graduate because I'm like, yay, money, you know. Obviously, I'm not just doing it for the money, so don't think that. It's not that great. I mean, especially for all of the work that we do, and like we bust butt at work, and I just feel like it's not really enough, especially when you work on the COVID unit, because I've worked on the COVID unit several times. They don't give you hazard pay or anything like that. You just get your normal basic pay, which I feel is wrong.
If you want to make more money, you pretty much have to move to like a bigger city. Like more money means more living standards, pretty much. And also like you have to work like a year. You have to have a year of experience before you do travel nursing, which also gives a lot of money. Or pick up extra shifts every single time. They'll pay you overtime.
Extra shifts are definitely good for the money, but just don't burn yourself out if you are going to pick up extra shifts. Make sure that you're still like mentally and physically okay to do these shifts.
Well guys, thank you for watching this video. If there's anything else you want us to talk about, we definitely will. Hopefully in a year we are still nurses. We could do like an update to this video and give you guys more insights on what we think so far. Let us know in the comment section below. Thank Kaylee for coming.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And do not forget to subscribe. Bye bye.